What up, you guys? We are here for our midweek alchemy message. This is where we kind of dive into our approach as far as like the work and the spiritual assignments that we've been having through the week, how we're handling things and the perspective. And so out of the Wild Unknown Alchemy deck, we've got the Yellowing, followed by Lead, followed by Breath. Underneath the Yellowing, we have 9 of Cups. Underneath Lead, we have 10 of Cups. And underneath Breath, we have 5 of Cups. So it's a very mixed bag, isn't it? And I will let you guys listen to the audio and then we'll come back and talk about this. On one hand, we're coming to the end of what feels like a very long chapter. And in our other hand, we have the seeds of a new beginning. Fruit does not arrive in its delicious maturity. It manifests in many forms along its journey: seed, branch, flower, bitter, and sweet. We don't judge the process nor the fruit that is still in progress. We are in a transitional phase into the next level of our inner growth, our dreams, our goals, and desires. There may be parts of the work that have grown stale and have lost their luster. We could benefit from assessing which aspects of our lives and work need pruning and which ones require determination, stamina, and perseverance. Every stage so far has been part of the preparation leading to the next phase. Some things might be coming to completion, but we are integrating all the wisdom and knowledge and experience we have gained from this educational journey into a brand new vessel. There's much fulfillment to be had, but we must use our energy, time, and resources wisely. We may need to rearrange priorities. We can't afford to burn out entering into the next phase of our work. Soften and expand. Breathe in inspiration. Make friends with discipline. Protect your joy and sense of fun. Okay, so it seems like we have 50-50 cards that at face value, they are like the best positive cards you can get and also the most like disappointing and like disruptive and just sort of taking the wind out of your sail cards you can get. So the Yellowing has a 50-50 nature to it. On the one hand, this Yellowing, you can think of the imagery of like the edges of a page of an old book, how it yellows, and it's a sign of age, right? So it's something coming to an aged like end after a long period of time. And Kim Kranz in her book talks about the bruise, how it's at the end of the healing process turns yellow. So I do feel like we have the 9 of Cups here, right? And I feel like this is reflective of this long journey that we've been going through to awaken and to heal and to shed all the parts of ourselves and kind of bring them to light and heal them and reintegrating all those parts that were holding us back or that we weren't utilizing. And so it's been a long journey. And I think that we've also had like maybe a form or several forms of a dream that we've been trying to bring into fruition that has been parallel to that journey. Like in a movie, you have like the hero in the outer story, but then you also have the internal aspect of the hero, which is the heroine's journey, the emotional journey and spiritual evolution that occurred, you know, underneath the topical material story. So the Yellowing card, you know, with the 9 of Cups, it's like the 9 of Cups is a card where it's talking about like you're about to get your dreams come true or they're coming true now. You know, your well-being is taking a turn for the better. And it almost feels like it's like we've been at it so long that it's almost like not too little too late, but it's just like the part of our ego that was receiving so much satisfaction from this thing has been officially emptied, right? And to bring that into like layman's terms, I was talking to my friend last night and he goes, man, I should have like some kind of creative thing or outlet that I do that I put out there. And I just said, like, unless it's something that you're like in love with and impassioned with and you're like driven to put it out there, I was like, it becomes a heavy burden. And even when you love it, it's like it's so much work to do the work and then to put it out there and to continuously share it over time. That it's just like, you know, I was like, if I didn't feel like this was a calling, I was like, I wouldn't even do it probably anymore. I would just do the things that I wanted to through the day. But I do feel like it's a calling and there is some satisfaction at some level. But as far as just like my ego getting any kind of like validation or satisfaction or feeling the need to like make it happen or whatever, like all of that, I'm just like, it's kind of like the other day, I was just like, I had to make myself, you know, get on there and like, it's not so much the making, because I always like the making of the content, but it's like the need of the sharing and all the stuff that comes along with it. So but the thing is, and what we learn in Kabbalah is that when you are pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone, that is when the most light is being revealed. So it's almost as if all the 10 years plus that I've done this beforehand, that I loved it and had so much fun, it's almost as if that barely counted. And now that it's totally not for me, it's for the light, then now it's an offering, you know? And so I thought that was so interesting. It really struck me over the last few days, like this a revelation, and then like kind of voicing it to my friend like that, and even like reiterating that now. And so we are coming to an end of the first part of the journey with something, and it's evolving into a next phase, a higher phase, a greater, form of that dream or that seed or whatever. And so sometimes the outer shell, the form of something will come to an end and then something else will be born, or something will evolve into its, you know, natural next level, you know? And so what's happening now is that we are getting a jolt of inspiration and optimism with this like Jupiter, Venus conjunction, but we have to put it to use with like getting serious, getting that, you know, connection with Saturn, discipline, focus, perseverance, because we've got to be able to discern what has grown old and dead on the plant that needs to be pruned, you know, and then what is actually adding to the health of the plant, what's just requiring like determination and focus and endurance, right? Because every adventure, every path gets stale, you know, at some point, and we have to become reinvigorated. And sometimes that's a sign that we are going, like there's new birth and renewal. And then sometimes that means that there is decay and pruning. So we have to see and discern which one that is, and then choose to curate our life and our energy and our direction and our plans in that direction. Again, we have Saturn here with the lead card. Every alchemist in their lab, the ultimate goal is to end up with gold, right? Or spiritual enlightenment, and then change that yields greater fruits in our life, right? But what we start off with is lead. And so when we're at the end of the process, the graduation that we just came through, we end up with gold, right? We have a certain amount of gold that we yielded from our first attempt at turning lead to gold, or the last attempt, you know, maybe attempt one of many attempts, right? So that we have what we have of the gold, and then we'll put that into a spiritual bank of expertise and light that will eventually take form in another vessel. We just continuously work. And so after you've been through a long journey and you finally turn lead into gold, to be given an even bigger hunk of lead to start over with, it feels like the rock that just keeps rolling down the hill in a way. But it's determination. We have to keep going. We have to keep going. I keep thinking of, what is the Conan the Barbarian, when he like pushes that wheel in circles for like 10 years. Right? But it makes him so strong, and then he breaks free. Well, that's like Saturn, you know, Saturn's always on our ass, right? But in order to really bring these dreams into fruition and have ultimate fulfillment, Ten of Cups, it's going to require Saturn. It's going to require Saturn here, lead, getting back to work. This is the material. The journey to fulfillment is working with the lead, right? It's not playing with all the gold. If we were doing that, then that wouldn't yield more gold. It's always going back to the lead, going back to the lead, going back to the lead. So instead of being discouraged by, feeling like, okay, we're starting at a new level and we have a hunk of lead on our plate again, so daunting. We're like, okay, more lead to make more gold with. This is great. This means that a new part of the process is starting. And if I can really embrace this and not take the process personally, then that is also going to add to the fulfillment that I'm able to reveal. And then lastly, breath with 5 of Cups. And so 5 of Cups is about not crying over spilled milk. There are certain things that have washed into the river that we can't get back. We can't return to exactly the way it was, or maybe there are certain losses that we have to accept. But this is like recognizing that and kind of grieving it, but like not staying in that state, right? Just accepting, those losses and using that to propel us forward and to use that to integrate, right? That raw material becomes the fuel for the next process. And so, in order to allow that to happen, we just have to breathe our way through it, right? Like a mother giving birth, the more she breathes, the more she allows the birth to happen. The more we hold the breath, then it pauses the process, it contracts. And so it's like we have to allow what is passing to pass, allow new phases to begin, and embrace these phases that are beginning, and allow like softening and expansion and the breath of inspiration to flow through. And sometimes that requires stillness and observation and space. And we have to allow ourselves that. And part of the transition might be, something gradual that takes trust and patience and breathing through feeling like the fear pains of the unknown. But new things are being birthed. So I'm really excited. The other opposite or meaning that is attached to the yellow card, not only the yellowing, not only is it aging, but it can also be a sudden surge in growth that's like kind of unexpected, right? And that has to do with our wishes. So I feel like the more that we can lean into this process, we might have already seen the big inklings of growth, and thought, oh my gosh, is it safe to hope? And I think that the key is to just maintain focus and discipline and not celebrate wins too early, or to take them in an appreciation, but don't rest on our laurels. Stay the course, right? And steady as she goes, as they say. All right, that is all for today. I'm really excited. You guys are on a roll with the daytime filming, and it's been really, really, really positive. So hope I can keep it up. Peace.